Well, hey, Bridget, it's it's a little later than we had anticipated, but hopefully we can still get some time in, talk about today's subject. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain. It's been a minute, so I'm glad to be back.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming back on the Thodcast. Hoping to have a little bit of a Georgia contingent on today. Yeah, you're joining me via the internets, but yeah, thankfully, you were able to hop on because the other hosts I had kind of scheduled for today had technical issues. So
Yeah,
I think,
both of them. Technology's not working today for anyone.
yeah, we're just gonna forge ahead, I think, because I want to get this in, and it's Halloween time, so. I'll just introduce the show. So, the Thodcast Conversations about Animation. I'm your host, Philip, up here in northern Minnesota. Last time we talked about Tron Ares, and that was with Jody. She was going to be on today, but she's been having issues with her phone, and she had to make an appointment at Verizon. So, unable to join today. And we're hoping Alex could make it on too. Alex been on a few episodes a while back, but she also was unable to join today, unfortunately. So just you, me, just you, Bridget, and
Yeah, just
myself.
me.
That's all right. And yeah, the whole connection idea we had last time on Jody and I on Tron Ares. Of course, Jared Leto, the star of that, and he makes an appearance in today's film as well. I think he's second billed in the opening credits, if you recall. But yeah, hey Paul Allen.
Uh,
Uh, I think Paul
well, yeah,
Allen.
and
Yeah. Well, I don't
well,
know.
that's
Yeah.
well, that's what I like. It had been so long since I've watched this movie. I probably watched it like when I shouldn't have been a long ago on a TV channel when we still had those. And it was like, edited. And so I had a very fun viewing experience today. But I didn't even realize Leto was in it. So I'm glad that the connection now makes sense to me because I was like, where did American Psycho? That's not animated. But it is just in time for spooky season. So
Exactly. Yeah, this will be kind of traditional spooky season horror review on the Thodcast. And oftentimes we'll do just a straight ahead live action movie for this. We've talked about Bram Stoker's Dracula in the past from Francis Ford Coppola and The Shining as well, and a lot of movies with some great visual um, majesty to them. And then this movie has a lot of really interesting, um, just I mean, it's had the cultural staying power, and yeah, I don't know. You saw a TV cut when you were probably well,
a teenager,
yeah,
probably.
beneath the yeah, it's an R-rated film, and the theatrical, version, I'm sure, is a bit more intense than whatever version you saw in the theaters. You were telling me earlier that, you know, there were things that you definitely didn't remember. I mean, I've seen this movie twice now, and there were some things I forgot from seeing it the first time a number of years back. But yeah,
Oh
fun to
yeah,
revisit.
that's back in the day when you could watch certain movies, they'd come on like, TBS or something, and it was edited though. So it was like all the R parts, all the rated R parts are not in there. So when I watched it today, I was like, oh, there are some adult parts in this. Like, I mean, it still kind of shows the murder, but it's less than all the other adult scenes, I guess. Um, but yeah, so it's been a hot minute. But
Okay.
I do think like watching it, I was like, wow, this is like so relatable to now, I think. 25 years later, nothing's changed. If
It's
only I think
very
it's gotten worse.
there's a lot of commentary. It's very biting. There's a lot of just insightful moments, I guess, just about humanity. It's trying to, say something about, the characters and the time frame, the time period, and just, human nature as well. in the film Tron Ares, it seems like Jared Leto's Ares is directly referencing this film, via the screenplay where he's kind of doing the Patrick Bateman intellectual breakdown of why he loves Huey Lewis so much. When Ares is describing his love of the '80s new wave um, pop band Depeche Mode, the electronic uh, kind of vibes and themes of that kind of pioneering uh, group of artists in that particular genre. I love Depeche Mode too. They do really seem like such an innovative band. But yeah, Huey Lewis and the News, a similar era, and it was a similar kind of moment in Tron Ares that you're kind of trying to explain your love of this thing that is sort of intangible, and it just speaks to the psychology of Christian Bale's Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, that he has a very specific um, criteria for why he enjoys an artist and why he doesn't, and he likes to do an analysis. He does this several times throughout the film as he's about to you know
As
claim
he's
his
about to get
prey.
into action. Yeah. Well, and honestly, that's something I like, of course, like obviously all the themes is consumerism and yuppie culture and stuff in the 80s.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it really is like, you know, at least especially in that like culture and society where it's like, rich people and consumerism and capitalism and all that jazz. And it's like really it's like, punching down on the other people. So it's like predator versus prey
Hmm.
because
There's
he literally is preying on people.
Yeah, there's
Um,
another running bit, there's the him explaining, mansplaining these music artists, but then there's
like
also
Whitney Houston. I was like, you gotta mansplain Whitney Houston guy.
there's also whenever he's questioned on his um alibi, he is always like, well, I need a or I needed to return some videotapes, or he says that several times. Video, I wonder
He's like,
what
well,
kind of,
you can't track me if I'm returning videotapes. So,
yeah, yeah.
and he was even harder back then to do that.
But yeah, what a character! I mean, Christian Bale really knocks it out of the park, and put him on the map. I mean, he had been in stuff since he was a kid. Like I recently saw the oh gosh, the Spielberg film Kingdom of the Sun.
Hmm.
It's sort of one of the more obscure um, Spielberg films. No, Kingdom of the Sun.
It has Christian
Was
Bale in it.
that was what the Emperor's New Groove was called before it was renamed to um Emperor's New Groove. Let's see.
Yeah.
Uh what was
There's
it?
Empire of the Sun.
Empire of the Sun. Yeah.
Okay. A
Em,
young boy interned in China by the Japanese. Okay.
yeah.
I have not heard of that one either, I don't think.
Empire of the Sun was 1987. The American Psycho was probably set in 1987 because of that Ronald Reagan broadcast, I think was from that year.
Yeah, well, and I think because this is based on a book, there's obviously some differences in the book because I think it's the movie is set 2 years before the book actually is. So I think the book is set in like 1989, but they set it back to like have the Reagan stuff. But I mean, it's all, semantic. There's only 2 years. It wasn't that much different.
Reagan left office in '89, I suppose. The election, George Bush versus who's he up against again? Anyways,
I
McGovern.
wasn't alive, so I don't know.
Um,
I wasn't here.
yeah. Um, yeah, no, American Psycho, big kind of, I don't know, cult film from the year 2000, and directed by Mary Harron. and has found its way into meme culture quite a bit. So
Oh
there's
yeah, well that's something like when I was looking at stuff, apparently, which is really funny and ironic, but apparently like the character Patrick Bateman has been like adopted by like the alpha bro dudes, which is wild to me. Because of course it's like, the whole thing is satire on like toxic masculinity and capitalism and narcissism, all of the things. And they're like, oh, he's such a Sigma. And I'm like, you guys are losing the plot, guys. This movie makes fun of people like that. You should not, no, you should not like this serial killer narcissist man.
yeah,
And apparently the director feels the same way. She's like, no, 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 don't do that, actually.
H.W. Bush ran against Michael Dukakis. No, the whole like subculture of these characters who epitomize the like modern bro culture. I mean, gosh, you should not have any sort of aspiration to resemble Patrick Bateman. I mean, maybe some of his exercise routines.
Yeah, like take care of your skin, I guess. Like,
Well, the
that's
skincare
fine.
is excessive, but it is good to still take care. I put on, I don't have a necessarily a strict routine per se, but I'll put stuff on my face, on a lot of days just to, try to preserve the visage. But yeah, I mean, women especially, I mean, it's probably universal that you would have, some sort of skincare routine, I feel.
Oh
Stay,
yeah, no, mine's pretty basic. I'm just like moisturizer.
no,
I
yeah.
wash my face and I moisturize, but I also have sensitive skin. So I can, like I know people who are like serums and things and masks and I'm like I can't do all that. My skin will get very angry.
Yeah,
Um
that's probably the first thing I ever recognized from this movie, the scene where he's peeling that mask off his face.
yeah. Well,
So,
and so
yeah.
apparently because he's a method actor,
Okay.
he did that skincare routine every day
Okay.
as
Well,
part of his like way to stay in that character. He like did certain things to stay in that, which is I mean, I know he's big on method acting, so I'm not surprised. But I was like, that's a lot. And it was before its time because like I feel like even now, men doing skincare is like at least publicly is like a newer thing in the last, 10 years.
hmm. I mean, yeah, that Wall Street, um, the investor grind, of course, definitely puts you on the cutting edge of society. So, a lot of the things that have made their way into more mainstream outlets, I'm sure originated in those kinds of circles of the elite, on the coastal elite. Patrick Bateman, he works for this investment company in mergers and acquisitions. I don't if
Yeah.
you
His father's company at that.
well, yeah, at Pierce and Pierce, was it? So
I think it's something like that.
it's
Pearson
same
Pierce.
name twice. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's just briefly mentioned by his. She's referred to as his fiance, right?
Yeah, but well, and honestly, I think it's one of those things, and I'm like, and obviously it is a statement on wealthy people in general and just how they're like kind of vapid and don't know what's happening. So like I think like she thinks they're in a relationship, but he's like dating and doing other stuff with other people and also like sleeping with her best friend. And like it's and she's like, "Oh, we should get married. We should have a wedding." But she's like talking about having a wedding. And like, "Oh, we should invite this person." And he's like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?"
that's
Like it's
that's
like she's just like thinking
yeah.
what she wants. And she's like, "Well, I'm gonna get my way, so it's fine."
His social relationships seem to be just so kind of
They're
loose and flippant.
shallow. Yeah, it's very
With this,
shallow,
yeah.
very vapid. And I think the fact that all of those men, his friends that he's always hanging out with, but doesn't seem to have like much of an actual friendship with, is that they all get mixed up with each other. I was like, oh, well, Paul Allen thought he was at dinner with this guy because he thinks you're someone else. And
Yeah,
this guy said you were there because he thinks you're someone else. And it's like, it's like, and I'm like, maybe that it's, I think it's, them being kind of vacuous and vapid and shallow and not really having any kind of like real connection because the only thing that matters to them is like materialistic things and like
Yeah.
how they are perceived because of their purchase of these materialistic things, like the cards and stuff. And so it's a
Oh,
very interesting
yeah.
take on like wealthy people, I think.
Yeah, Jared Leto's Paul Allen dies thinking that Patrick Bateman is Marcus Halberstrom, another
Yeah.
employee of the company, another associate. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious. And um, yeah, the whole gosh. Did you ever notice or read anywhere that there's a lot of typos on the business cards, like acquisitions is
Yeah.
misspelled?
Yeah, there's one where it was like they didn't like his as much because it was like not spelled properly. Because he doesn't know how to spell acquisitions. Because which and I think that's another thing is like most of these people are probably just rich kids who are handed a job. They're not actually doing a job.
Yeah, yeah. Patrick Bateman's, father's part of the company, but also that would mean that he could buy his way into Harvard, which he did. He went to
Hmm.
Harvard and Harvard Business School. And then you eventually like, I mean, we'll be getting into some spoilers. But it does seem that he just screws off while he's at work. I mean, that it's kind of
Oh
alluded at the
yeah.
jump. That's what he
Yeah.
does. He's like he tells his assistant, I'm not here all the
Yeah, yeah.
time.
He like shows up late and he's like, oh, Pilates. Oh, I was doing this on that, and they're like always going to lunch and just like
Yeah.
drinking at like a bar,
Yeah.
but
I
like a
mean,
fancy bar.
that sounds kind of fun. At least he's like doing stuff socially with people, They're at least like active in a certain way. But I guess, and this is interesting. While I was watching, and I feel like I've heard this mentioned in the past, I mentioned in the chat, this would be perfect as an anime. It has a rhythm to it,
Yeah.
seems to match, and like Christian Bale has done voices in
Hmm.
Ghibli films. At least one, he was Howl. I
He
feel
was,
like he's done a
yeah. I think was he in Castle in the Sky as well?
no, was
Maybe
that?
not.
I think was he the kid in that?
Mm.
Um, but
No, I definitely think. Oh, he was in The Boy and the Heron
oh,
and
yeah,
Howl's
of course,
Moving Castle.
of course. Who was he in the boy in the? Oh,
Was he the dad?
no,
No.
yeah, yeah, the dad. That's right.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I'm pretty sure he was the dad.
um, but yeah, the aspect of like Japanese culture where you're often expected to go out for drinks and socialize with your coworkers as just part of the job. I don't know if you're familiar with that concept, but the work culture in Japan is I guess it's got certain quirks that are sort of foreign to a lot of Western understanding, which is that you're a lot more dedicated. You're expected to be a lot more dedicated to your
Mm.
job in
Well, and
Japan,
there's like a very strict like hierarchy in
right?
that like the boss is the top dog and you basically do anything and everything to basically like show honor, even to the point where like if the boss doesn't leave work, even though you're supposed to leave at 5, if they don't leave work, you don't leave work. It's like
Right.
a big thing. And there's like certain honorifics that you have for your bosses. It's very interesting, but I do think this would be a good one to make into an anime or just an animated film in general because
Hmm.
it's like edgy and the pacing's interesting, but and then there's also a lot of like the things that are happening, are they happening? Or are they not happening? Is this in
Hmm.
his brain? Is it not in his brain?
Yeah,
And
it's
like I think that would be like interesting to portray in an anime.
yeah, for sure. It's an abstract film that could definitely lend itself to animation. And yeah, I have to imagine that culture of like being tied down to your job all the time does lead itself to, you know, a lot of workers in Japan just kind of sitting around at their desk because they feel like they can't leave because of the
Oh
social
yeah, they'll
pressure.
like pretend to work. Or
Yeah.
it's also like expected of you to like work overtime
Yeah.
if
Or
anyone else
have,
is.
the functions, the fraternization that occurs after hours too, you're expected to show up for all of that. Um, and but in on Wall Street, of course, these people, their work is kind of their life too. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's just kind of, who they hang out with. They try to get reservations at the fanciest restaurants and
What Dorsey?
Dor
Dorsai?
Dorsia.
Dorsia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think with Japanese culture, work culture is that like when you leave, if your boss is like, "Hey, do you want to get dinner? Do you want to go get drinks?" You now have to go get drinks. You now have to go get drinks with your all of your coworkers. You can't just be like, "Oh no, I can't today." You have to go. And so I feel like it's kind of similar because that's what he does every evening. Is
Yeah.
they're like even when he's like supposed to be going to dinner with his girlfriend, question mark, um, they like show up and it's like his friend is there, Justin Theroux is there.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was Justin Theroux, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I was like, that looks a lot like Justin Theroux.
Mhm.
Everyone's such like little babies. I mean, this movie's
No.
25 years old, so they all look so young.
Yeah, it is interesting. 25 years since this movie was released, and a lot of these people are still, very much, around and have gone on to have amazing careers. Just the names. I mean, yeah, Justin Theroux, Josh Lucas. He's been in a lot of
Mhm.
stuff. Not as
He
familiar
was Sweet Home
with.
Alabama with Reese Witherspoon.
Right.
I
Yeah,
was like staring at him and I was like, I know that face. What's
yeah.
this man?
I forgot Reese Witherspoon and Samantha Mathis were in this. I mean, two big
Yeah.
names. Chloe Savini,
Hmm.
has been, or Sevigny, I think is how she
The
pronounced
70, yeah.
it. She's been in a
Well,
lot
then
of.
Willem Dafoe,
Oh, of course.
Jared Leto. Jared Leto popped on the screen and I didn't even recognize him because I know him from like, 30 Seconds to Mars and his newer stuff, not Morbius. But like
And
his newer stuff. He didn't look like a little baby in the stuff
great,
that I recognize him in.
great like 80s business mullets going on in the,
Oh,
just.
and they're all so tan. They were both tan. I was like, maybe that's probably it because 30 Seconds to Mars is like the most, not his like cult Jesus look that he has now, but like 30 Seconds to Mars is how like I remember him from my youth. And so I'm like, the black emo hair and he was so pale with the eyeliner. And so I'm like, seeing him tan was hilarious.
He says he has a tanning bed at his place.
Hmm.
Yeah. Did you notice a tanning bed at his apartment though? I wonder.
I didn't see one, so I'm like, there must have been like a spare room that we don't see or something maybe. Although
Yeah.
I feel like that girl ran through all of them.
Well,
Um,
and there's a lot of ambiguity surrounding his apartment in general, I
mhm.
feel. Um, but I don't know that there's a, because yeah, the abstract element kind of almost, I don't know. Are you familiar with like David Lynch? He does a lot of surreal twists and turns in his films. Very
Let me look him up.
dreamlike. What's that?
I was like, let me look him up.
Okay.
Oh, so he's like Twin Peaks and stuff like that.
Yeah, Twin Peaks. Well,
Okay, yes.
but like,
I'm bad at names, so.
no, it's fine. Just yeah, like, questioning what's real and what's not. And this movie is appropriate for having those kinds of, um, ultimate plot twists that, um, really just demonstrate how unhinged this character is, and divorced. And I feel like he's just so kind of frail and hollow as a person that, yeah, the fact that, he even in his monologues, his, narration describes how the only emotions he feels are, what was it, greed and,
Anger, yeah, greed and like anger and like
yeah,
jealousy, obviously.
yeah.
Which and that was something like some of my notes are really funny because I'm like dog killer question mark. Uh, I was
Well,
like, what is happening?
that's one of the more plausible kills, I guess,
Hmm.
because it's revealed at the end that, he he isn't necessarily as prolific serial killer as, it is shown, is depicted in this film. He because it's revealed that Paul Allen isn't dead. He just, I don't know, went missing.
Left. Yeah, just like dipped out. I mean, which I mean, rich
Totally
people do.
plausible. Yeah, totally
Yeah.
plausible for this type of character, these Wall Street types who just have like probably mental breakdowns on a multi-yearly basis.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you know what? This isn't going well for me. I guess I'll just vacation.
Yeah.
I'll dip out. Well, and that was something I thought was interesting because obviously, like his base desire, which he says in the car with Reese Witherspoon in the beginning, that he's like, I want to be like, I want to be accepted. And I thought that was so interesting because it's like he wants to be accepted, but it's really he wants to be better than them. He doesn't want to just be accepted, he wants to be the best. And that's why he has a tendency, like the people who do not follow like his orders, like or like his world rules in his brain, like have to go. Like he was like, "Oh, Paul Allen is better than me? I don't think so. Time for you to die." Or like Lewis in the bathroom, he was like, "Ooh, better card than me? Time to die, actually." And I was just like, what an odd way to try to get people to like you. But I think that just goes back to like being vacuous and vapid. It's like your only personality trait is like what you can pay for.
Oh,
No wonder you're crazy.
it's fun that he's so candid about that, just wanting to fit in. Like, as much as that's just so relatable, it's also something people just resent having to admit.
Mhm.
But he's, I guess, just so kind of flimsy and transparent that he'll just say, "Yeah, I want to fit in. I want to, have the best of everything. I want to be superior, but I also want to do nothing at work and screw off and watch porn and hire prostitutes." and
I'm telling you, man, it was well, and just murder
fantasize about,
wildly.
yeah,
Yeah.
murdering people I don't like. I mean, and if you're a total screwball and have no control over your emotions, like this character would be, then you're gonna not have any qualms. Just if nothing else, just fantasizing about somebody who rubs you the wrong way. In that moment, yeah, you might want to stab them or kill them, get rid of them, just because you just see them as an obstacle or as a nuisance.
Well, that was something I like when he kills the homeless guy and he kills like all these other people, and I honestly feel like it's because he's like, oh, like I can't just straight up go and kill these other people who are like better than me or make me angry or whatever. And so he basically becomes a predator. And he's like, I'm gonna kill people that I deem lower than me. So, i.e., women and people who have no money. Um, which I thought was funny because Gloria Steinem, big feminist from back in the day, she actually like spoke out against the movie and was like the violence directed at women is like too much, blah 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 blah. But apparently she went on to marry Christian Bale's dad,
No
which I
way.
thought was funny.
Well,
Yeah, I was like, wow, you guys are all so interconnected.
I feel like the book especially had that
hmm
initial blowback about the treatment of like women and some of these more politically charged aspects of the film. Yeah, I mean, Bateman, he's really homophobic, and I don't,
hmm
he describes oh, well, when he's being interrogated by Willem Dafoe's character, he
Yeah.
doesn't cop to enjoying Huey Lewis in the news because he finds out the investigator's a fan of Huey Lewis, so he doesn't want to. I don't know.
He doesn't want to be like him. He doesn't want to be relatable.
Well, I
Well, and
think
even like,
it's
oh, go
because
ahead.
he thinks that maybe Willem Dafoe is on to him. So if he
Yeah,
admits to enjoying Huey Lewis in the news, it's like he's not
he
allowing
knows.
the investigator to have an accurate read. But he's like, yeah, Huey Lewis was too black sounding for me.
Well, and he even said that about when he asked, when Willem Dafoe's character asked about, like, what does he know about Paul Allen? And he was like, oh, the Yale thing, homosexual activity and cocaine use. And, like, it's funny because the author basically the whole book that he made was like a gay man satire on masculinity and toxic masculinity, misogynist, all that stuff. Um, and so I think it's funny that he included a gay character who obviously does not openly live like a gay man because he's marrying a woman and no one else knows until homeboy tries to kill him in the bathroom. Spoilers. I mean, it's 25 years later. There's no
Yeah,
spoilers.
Lewis.
Oh,
Yeah, he's engaged to Samantha Mathis's character, who
which is who he's sleeping with, who Christian Bale's character is sleeping with.
he
Um,
actually, yeah, she's the one female character. Well, I mean, he has the sex workers, of course, but then
mhm.
has sort of a romantic, yeah, dalliance with Samantha Mathis, and is totally just cold towards,
Ambivalent.
yeah,
Yeah.
ambivalent towards
Towards
his
his girlfriend.
actual, yeah, fiance, who it's funny, she's an ACLU attorney or something. She works for the ACLU. She goes around referring to Christmas as Xmas, maybe as sort of
Hmm.
like a progressive, like, you wouldn't have called it woke back then, but like it's more inclusive to
Yeah.
to say Xmas or something. I don't know. ACLU, yeah, yeah. I feel like there were maybe some other fun nods to it, to her character being kind of this.
Oh yeah, yeah, because it was when he was like, don't say anti-Semitic stuff. And they were like, oh, it's because you're dating that girl from the ACLU. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well that and then they were talking about, being pretty in their little tight bodies, but pretty girls aren't talented or smart or have anything to offer. And that's why the ugly girls have all the talent because they're not pretty. And I was like, rude, first off. Um, but yeah, well, like finding out that Lewis's character was secretly gay, which I kind of felt like that was going to happen. I
Yeah,
mean, obviously, I didn't really
sort of
remember,
implied.
but
It
when,
just, yeah.
well, like when Samantha Mathis' character, when she's like, "Oh, I want to have children. I just want to have children," and blah 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 blah, and I was like, it makes so much sense because like she has to know,
Yeah.
like if she is, cheating on him, they're probably not sleeping together. And I was like, that makes so much sense. But I do think like an interesting take I saw on you know, Patrick Bateman not killing Lewis was that they're both hiding a separate version of themselves. And so it's like he can relate to him on that level, but he's also like disgusted because he sees homosexuality as bad. And so he's like, I can't believe that we are similar
I
like this. And and that's why he dips out and like it's freaking out when he leaves.
That's such a great scene. I mean, because it totally reads as if like it could be um Bateman making a pass at Lewis and yeah, him going up, giving him a massage, and then just totally like getting cold feet and backing out and just like completely just just noping out of the whole situation.
Well,
Yeah.
honestly, and like for that time frame, I wouldn't even be surprised if people suspected that like he is like this because he was gay, like he was closeted. Because
Mm.
it's like he doesn't like women. And like even when he's like doing things with them, he doesn't really care about them. He cares about what he's doing and how he looks.
He's looking
And
at
like
himself yeah.
yeah, like that whole scene is so funny. He's like, and of course the meme is always like that, ooh, yeah. And so it's like he's so into himself and like what other men think about him that he doesn't really care what women think. He doesn't really care about women, and he always like has on like porn with women, but it's like he's so uninterested. He's not even watching it. His only like fantasy is like to kill them. And so I'm like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if people are like, yeah, he's supposed to be closeted, and he's just being really toxic and like having a lot of toxic masculinity to try to get away from that. I would not be surprised if that was like something like a realization people have come to.
Yeah, no, I mean his sexuality is all sorts of, you know, knows all over the I mean, because he himself is just so disturbed as an individual.
Oh,
But
mhm.
also like Samantha Mathis's character is often just whacked out of her head too, unfortunately. Her
Oh
name
yeah, she's like
Courtney.
on like Vicodin and stuff. Well, and I
Evelyn.
like,
Yeah. Evelyn's the uh, fiance, and then Courtney's the mistress. Yeah.
okay. I was like, I don't remember their names because I'm bad at names.
Like
But
like when they go out to dinner though, he convinces her that they're at Dorsia so that like she can
yeah,
spread the word that he was able to get into Dorsia. Like, but no, it says right on the menu he's at like Barcadia or something. Yeah.
yeah. Well, and it's like he knows how to kind of work the system. So he knows she's going to be blitzed out of her mind.
Yeah.
So he's like, I can lie to her and it's going to be fine. And it's same thing like when he takes the prostitutes back to Paul Allen's. He's Paul Allen, Paul Allen, Paul Allen. And I was like, he knows because like they don't know any different.
It's bizarre. Do you know the real life Paul Allen? He was
I did not. I saw you searching it. I saw you have it up earlier. I did not know he was a real person.
yeah. Yeah, did you like having the screen share on, or was that distracting? Because
No, it was interesting. I was like sitting here reading it while you had it up.
yeah,
Because of course I have 2 pages of notes. I was like, I don't remember any of this from when I watched it the first time. I have so many thoughts.
he was a famous executive from the 80s. He died recently, 2018, and
Hmm.
helped Bill Gates get his start. But I feel like he was involved in other things like Pepsi, maybe Nike.
So is he like mentioned in like did that guy mention him like on purpose or is that just like basic white rich guy name?
I mean, it's such a yeah. There are there could be a million Paul Allens. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the author of American Psycho, Bret Easton Ellis. I wonder if he was specifically like probably he probably doesn't have a bone to pick with Paul Allen specifically, but just like the fact that he is a recognizable rich
Yeah.
business executive name, it does have that ring to it. So maybe that's why he used that name. I feel
I
like
mean, that would make sense.
I feel like Patrick Bateman is a reference to Norman Bates from Psycho.
That's what I also thought because he's like obviously so obsessed. He talks about serial killers the whole time.
Mhm.
I also got that vibe because I'm pretty sure he brought up Ed Gein,
Uh,
and that's where I was like, I wonder if that's like connected because like he's also watching like he talks about Ted Bundy. He's watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre at one point, which was inspired by Ed Gein, and so was Psycho. So
okay.
I'm like, I would not be surprised if he did that intentionally. I didn't look into, I haven't read the book, but now that I'm like, I probably should read it because I do like to read, especially thriller stuff. So I would be interested in reading it. I just know, like, based on research, how like some stuff goes along with the book. Because there were some things that I like, you know how there's so many brands that they mention in the movie,
Uh-huh.
like really big, like fancy ones. There was a lot of brands, so obviously they're in the book, but when it came to doing the movie, there was a lot of brands who would not allow them to use their name in the film. So they had to change a lot of stuff. So like the bag that he puts Paul Allen's body in, I guess,
Okay.
or maybe all the stuff. I don't remember the brand he said, but it was supposed to be something else. And they were like, no, you're not using it. And then like Rolex, the scene where he's like, don't touch the watch. In the book, apparently it's don't touch the Rolex. But Rolex was like, you can only have characters wearing Rolexes in your movie as long as Bateman is not wearing one. We do not want his character to have one on.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
so that's why when he's like, don't touch the watch, it's a tie back to the book. It's just his character is not allowed to wear Rolexes because they didn't want him to mess it up and they didn't want, I guess, it to be linked to a serial killer, even though all the other people in it are wearing them. And I was just like, that's really funny and really picky.
It
Like, I,
makes
I don't think
sense.
any of these brands are like, ah, yes, we love serial killers. That's why we're in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's the story is a satire on consumerism in general.
Yeah.
So, but you'll see that there'll still be cross promotion with with the kind of odd choice as far as like a film is concerned, where you're not necessarily depicting these things in the best light. But
Hmm.
all publicity is good publicity. No, yeah, Paul Allen. I guess he. he is associated with the Seattle Seahawks, and I thought there
Mm.
was maybe like a Nike thing because yeah, Seattle. Um,
I
I
did
was
notice
also yeah.
I did notice that he's wearing like in the last scene with that I don't know, I don't that chick wasn't a prostitute. It was like a friend of his or someone that he knew, like
Okay,
a drug lady, and that prostitute from before. He's wearing sneakers during
Bateman.
that whole scene. Yes. Bateman's wearing sneakers the whole scene. And I
Okay.
was like, why? Also, he owns sneakers? This character owns sneakers?
Uh,
Yeah, he had on like white sneakers. Because I was trying to see
he's
what the brand was.
he's athletic. Yeah,
He
and
is athletic, which
I don't
makes
know.
sense, but
There is, I guess, the stereotype of like the executive who comes in wearing tracksuit and sneakers, and maybe sometimes they're just guys like that who wear a suit and basketball sneakers or something.
well, yeah. And it was so weird too, because it's like in that scene, because I noticed it, he was under the covers with one of them, and I could see
Mhm.
them sticking out. And I was like, are those sneakers? Why is he wearing
Okay.
shoes? He's butt
Yeah.
naked, other than shoes. And then when he chases her out, he's still wearing the shoes. And I was just like, did he do that on purpose? Did he wear it in case he had to chase somebody? Like, why do you have on sneakers? I mean, I think it's just because he's unhinged and not mentally well that he's doing weird stuff. But I was just like, why? Why do you have on sneakers right now? Especially because I'm pretty sure he was wearing a suit when they were on the couch
Yeah, I wonder,
before.
yeah, and how much of that whole encounter was actually, a part of the reality of the film and not perhaps just a fantasy. You never know there. Because,
Yeah.
in Paul Allen's apartment, when he's actually starting to chase after his victims
Hmm.
during that particular movement of the film, because there are like several. I think the Wikipedia article described it as four different, victim claiming scene, murders,
Hmm.
sequences. I don't know if that included the homeless guy, maybe, and then Paul Allen, of course, and then I don't know. There's a scene where he has I don't know. Yeah,
Well, he
there's
shoots all the people at the
shoots all the
end.
people.
Apparently,
I mean,
maybe.
he hires the prostitutes and doesn't kill them in
Mm-mm.
one moment, but then yeah, brings back Christie is one of them. He
Christy.
comes and then he, kills her, with the very yeah, unlikely sort of moment of violence. We're dropping a friggin' chainsaw. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, how? I'm like, that would never. That wouldn't actually work.
A bit,
Because
yeah,
I was
far.
like, why wouldn't the girl be paying attention? There's a guy chasing me with a chainsaw,
It's far
and also
fetched.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
similar
it's
to
really far-fetched.
the blowing up of the police officers with the handgun. It's just
Trying to feed the ATM a cat
all right.
and then shooting. And why? Like, when did he get a gun?
Oh
That's why
yeah,
I was like, I'm like, I feel like that whole part was like, because of course there's a lot of back and forth on the internet. That's like, oh, is it all a dream? Was he actually a serial killer? Is it all just
yeah.
a fantasy? Which the director has come out and said, no, he is a serial killer. Were all of the
Um,
things, like, were all of the times that he killed someone actually happening? No, but he is a serial killer. He has killed people. And I was like, okay, cool. Because I wondered, I'm like, is he just like, living it all out in his head? But she said that she left it kind of ambiguous at the end
mhm.
as like an homage to the book because the book is left that way. But she's like, no, yes, he's a serial killer. He did kill people.
I
Because it's
mean,
kind of like touches on the fact that like, which people are more apt to get away with things.
but also I feel like his character could just be too vapid and cowardly to actually go through with a lot of this stuff. Maybe like the homeless person, maybe certain kinds of victims. He the more you know victim, the people over whom he has status, maybe he's more able to victimize because of his ability to manipulate them, sex workers and etc.
Hmm.
Um, but you know, even then, yeah, hard to say whether he's able to actually go through with all of these instances and like all the bodies in Paul Allen's apartment clearly
Yeah.
weren't there because he comes back the next day. It's I guess in one of the descriptions I read is it is the next day and it's being shown by a realtor. So was that even Paul Allen's apartment, to begin with?
Yeah, and that's why she's like, yeah, don't come back. Like, go
Mhm.
away. Well, and that's kind of like what because I looked when I read that, I was like, okay, so he did do some of this. It's not all a dream or fantasy or whatever,
Mhm.
but they do think that it's showing his like basically him dissolving into like kind of insanity. He's losing it, losing touch with reality. And so they're like, of course, like him having a shootout with the cops and killing that lady and trying to shove a cat in the ATM probably was just him being crazy. He probably didn't really do that.
Mhm.
But I do think I do think because of how detached he is,
Mhm.
especially from things that he does not see as like an equal, I would not be surprised if he did actually kill some of those ladies. Because like
Yeah.
he doesn't kill his assistant. He thinks about it. He
Yeah.
thinks long and hard about it. And then he's like, you
Yeah.
know what? Maybe I shouldn't. But it's because he doesn't see her and like he doesn't kill his girlfriend or his mistress because they like are equal, kind of. Or like, have more of like a relationship. They're not just like some random person you can throw away. So like I would not be surprised if he did kill some of those prostitutes and the homeless guy. The homeless guy was wild though. I was like, why are you being so mean? And then he killed the dog. And I was like, why do you have to kill the dog? What did the dog do? Why are you like this?
Yeah, yeah. The mistress and the fiance are able to give him, I think, a certain amount of like affirmation and social credit.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that probably helps his overall appearance too.
Mhm.
His many fellows that he's not interested in.
Whereas
Uh,
Paul Allen insults him by not being able to remember his name, and then Lewis has just simply has a better looking business card, so he must die, of course.
yeah, and that's also kind of a funny thing that's like he wants to be liked and all this stuff, but like yeah, they kind of all blend in, like they're not special. It's
Yeah.
like they're basically all the same. They're all interchangeable. And it's like in your pursuit to be a special little boy, you are just like everyone else. No one knows who you are because you're not special. And then that makes him go crazy.
Business
And
up
so
front, party in the back.
yeah, a party on the inside, I think, for him. Um, but yeah, it's just that's why I say I think like this whole it was so funny to watch it, and I was just like, wow, that's capitalism, baby. And it's really like very much talking about like, over consumerism, capitalism, and like people just buying things to have them and to show off. And that's why I said earlier, I was like, Patrick Bateman would 100% be like one of those like rise and grind lifestyle TikTok influencer these days, and he'd be insufferable.
Yeah, I mean, I guess certain sectors of the internet might just be like, well, cut out the killing part. And
Yeah.
who knows if he actually did it? He maybe just fantasized about it. And like, who doesn't do that? But like,
Well, especially like his whole book that what was her name? Jean?
uh,
Jean, his assistant finds
his
at the
appointments
end.
book, his appointments book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just nothing but scribble.
It depicts like all of the murders. Well, that was like another thing when he was at the lunch with Reese Witherspoon's character, and he's like, "No, I don't want to be with you anymore." But he's literally sitting there drawing like a dead lady with a chainsaw on her back, and Homegirl just is like not seeing what he's doing. And I'm like, and I think that's part of like, them talking about, like, how shallow and vapid they are. They're not actually paying attention. It's like all these people, they're always surrounded by people, but like no substance, no actual friendship, no one to like actually call if you're like, if something bad's going on. Like, I mean, he even called his lawyer, and his lawyer was like, "Oh my gosh, I thought that was a joke. You're so crazy." Like
Well,
he called you crying saying he murdered people. Like you didn't think maybe he like needed help or something.
I don't know. He's able to do some spontaneous riffing with his lawyer friend. You know, they're like improv buddies almost or something.
Well, and I thought it was so funny too when the lawyer was just like, "Oh yeah, you mean boring Bateman? He would never do anything." And I was like, "That's so funny. You are so much of a nothing person that people don't even think that you'd do something crazy. You're just a nothing person," which of course like makes him slip even more into insanity.
Mhm.
And I was just
So,
like, "Yeah, you're a mess."
Alex is having computer issues tonight, of course, why she can't join us. But she, I think, on her phone was able to record some voice memos, and she said, I think we we could play them if you
I
want to
think
hear.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think she said we can.
yeah. I want to let's try this and see how it sounds. But yeah, hopefully the audio is okay.
I don't know what I could say about this movie because I didn't have the time to rewatch it yesterday or today, like was is my plan. However, you could put me on the podcast as saying like I I I I love a villain, and he was a villain. He was valid to be a villain because like everybody thought he was somebody else that he wasn't. Like, oh, like you don't exist. Like, yeah, like if somebody thought that about me, like I would terrorize people too. Like I personally like, yeah, I love fucking with people. So um my thoughts on this movie, since I can't be on the podcast, I will share with you and maybe you can include it. Is that like number one, why do you put a hot man as like the bad guy? Because then, like, it's really hard to feel bad for a hot guy, you know? And then number two, like, I would be mad also if people just kept forgetting me. Number three, I wish he wasn't killing women because leave us alone. And number four, like, where does it go after this? What's the ending? There's no ending. And like, I need a sequel. Thank you.
I will say I agree a little bit because I like after I watched the movie, I like walked into my office and I looked at Godfrey and I was like, you know what? I probably would have been murdered. Like, because
Well,
like when he
okay.
was like he could turn it on. He could be really fake and charming.
Mhm.
And he is Christian Bale is hot. And so I'm like, he is like, a nice looking dude. I would have 100% been murdered.
There is okay. So as far as the veracity of the murders goes, there is a American Psycho cinematic universe. There was a
There's a second
sequel,
one.
direct to video from 2002, but it stars. I mean, it might be worth checking out. It stars Mila Kunis and William.
Yeah, I didn't know it existed until earlier.
Yeah. So and I watched a little bit like this. I watched the original on Peacock, and then the sequel is also just on there as well. And I watched a little bit of it, and it just plays like a typical like teen um rom-com or something. It's got that rhythm to it, like an American Pie or She's All That. Sort of set at a college campus. So, it's just one of those, yeah, teenage drama type films, direct video with Mila Kunis in it, and I guess she like murders people, but she's
Yeah, I
sort
just
of a
saw a picture of
Dexter.
her with William Shatner. So I'm like, what?
Yeah, she only murders bad people, or at least that's what she.
So she's Dexter.
Yeah, yep.
Hmm. Okay, well, and
Here's
I did. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I did see that in like 2013 they had talked about making it like a series or maybe like a limited series, but then I guess it never happened because
weird.
there
Yeah,
was never a series.
yeah. I don't think there have been any other entries in the American Psycho universe. Possible, but I feel like an animated spin-off would be cool. An anime spin-off.
Oh, well,
Um,
that's what it was. I think the series was supposed to be like him, like in his 50s, like him older. Like,
hmm.
where is he? What is he doing now? Like, I think that was like the premise that I read, but obviously it never went anywhere. But I was like, that would have been interesting. I mean, that's kind of like what Alex was saying. It's like, I have questions. Can I get like an update?
I have two more clips from her. So here's the second one. Did it sound okay on your end?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
sounded fine to me.
Yeah.
I'm just like upset. Like, I'm so sorry I can't I've fiddled with my computer. I can't get it into my phone. Like, I can send you voice memos through Messenger on my phone. Like, I want to be there so bad. Like, I have FOMO really bad. But like, um, yeah, like, okay, so how are we going to talk about like number one, like this? I didn't even get to watch it because I was busy today. I apologize. I'm so sorry, guys. Like, my brain is like all the way, which way, all the ways. But I'm here to still talk about it in a voice memo. I'm assuming you're on the podcast now, and so you can listen to it later, and you can pop me in the edits later if you want. Hey guys, it's me, Alex. I was supposed to be there, but I can't get. I'm locked out for some reason. Um, hey, I'm here to tell you, like, this movie is so good. I don't know why it took me so long to watch it because the first time I watched it, which was like last month, I was like, this is a movie that I would have watched 10 times over. It gave me very much like Pulp Fiction vibes in like a different way because it gave me like true crime vibes. So I'm locked in because like I'm a true crime fan. And so I am, I'm watching the movie. I'm like, I can't believe I've never seen this before. Like, this movie is so good. And like they pick like an attractive actor to like do this. And like his whole point is like, y'all don't know who I am. And like they think that he's somebody else every time that he's like, oh, and he'll feed into it too, which like, yeah, like if you don't know me, like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then whatever. I wish I was in a conversation with you guys so I could like feed off of it because I'm just trying to like get into my brain about it. Um, it's a really great movie. Like, it's a very rewatchable movie. I'm not going to even say spooky. It's like, it's fun. It's a fun watch for sure. Sean, do you have any input on American Psycho? This is just a voice memo. It's not the podcast because I couldn't get in. Do you have any
Oh no, it's
opinion?
the podcast.
No opinion. Sean has no opinion on that. Did you like the movie? No comment, he says.
That's great. Um,
Um, well, yeah, so I was looking at my notes and theme, banality of evil, but the existential emptiness of the yuppie's American dream. I saw that somewhere and I was like, that's hilarious because that really is what it is. Uh,
and she mentioned Christian Bale was like an unknown, which he was relative unknown at the time, but that actually got the director Mary Herron fired at one point from
I have that in my notes.
by
It was
Lion.
like,
Yeah, this is an early
yeah.
Lionsgate film. Mm.
Well, yeah, it was like they had different they had a different director, Stuart Gordon. And originally, when they got the rights to it, he was supposed to be the director and he wanted Johnny Depp as the lead, but that fell through. And then it was David Cronenberg, but he wanted to like, he didn't want it to be in a restaurant or like an office building. He wanted it to be like something completely different. And in his version, there was like a musical number at the World Trade Center at the end, like nonsense. And so that obviously didn't happen. And then, yeah, Mary, um, Harron, she was in it, but yeah, she was like, I only want Christian Bale. And they apparently offered it to like Leonardo DiCaprio, and she was like, I don't want him. Like she wouldn't even meet with him. And so yeah, she ended up getting fired. But I was reading that like Christian Bale, he just like wasn't accepting no for an answer. So he was still like so he was like, he's always been like thin in like decent shape, but he wasn't like buff
Mm.
or like, cut up like he was in the movie. And so he was like, he said he was working out 3 hours a day, 6 days a week. He was still doing all that. And he would like call her and be like, hey, so about this scene. And he'd like want to talk about it. And she's like, dude, I'm not on the movie anymore.
Mm.
Oliver Stone and Leonardo DiCaprio are the ones on the movie. Because she didn't want, I guess Leonardo DiCaprio was coming off of like, I don't know, it was Titanic before that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like Titanic and all that. And so she
the
was like, I don't want him. He's too boyish.
the
He's like,
screenplay weirdness, I mean, it got sent around to, multiple different teams and like director star pairings and but also
hmm
screenwriters as well. And initially, of course, just the author himself was going to adapt it, Bret Easton Ellis. That
hmm
concept of the musical number at the World Trade Center was his invention, ironically.
That's so funny because it's like, and I mean, it makes sense because like Patrick Bateman's character is like so into music. So I'm like, I guess it kind of makes sense, but I feel like that would be like, honestly, I feel like it'd almost make it corny. And it's like, no, this is supposed to be like one of those like ambiguous, like, what did I just watch kind of movies.
I
But
mean,
yeah, so Christian,
yeah, this
like Christian
Ellis.
Bale was like, yeah, I'm gonna be this, and you can't stop me.
Yeah, Ellis seems like quite a character. I mean, he says like he was just too bored with the subject material because he had lived with it for a number of years already and like just wanted to do something new for the adaptation. So he didn't want to just, rewrite the novel. So he
Yeah.
had a bunch of crazy ideas that he wanted to throw in there.
Well, yeah, when that's like, I guess Oliver Stone was the one who took over when she basically got let go. But then they brought her back. I guess like I don't know, maybe he didn't want to do it. And apparently Christian Bale's like team were trying to like talk him out of it. They're like, this is gonna be career suicide. Like, don't do it. And he was like, no. He's like that. Honestly, it makes me more excited. I want to do it. Um, and apparently they also offered the role to Ewan McGregor.
Okay.
And apparently Christian Bale called him and was like, don't take it. Don't take it. I want it. Don't take it. And so he didn't take it, obviously.
He would have
But
been
I'm
great.
like, I do think he would have been great, but I'm like, I don't know. Christian Bale was just so good.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I don't know that I could have seen. I don't think like I've seen Leonardo DiCaprio in plenty of movies that I'm like, oh, he's a good actor. I like this. But I don't know. I much like him. I much prefer him as like Wolf of Wall Street versus like serial killer of Wall Street. Um, so, but yeah, it's like, and so Christian Bale, he based Patrick Bateman, his personality and character type, off of Tom Cruise. He saw him in an interview on like Letterman and was like, "That's it. And what did it? I wrote it down. Um, intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes.
Oh
That
no.
is that is how it was explained. And he's like, yeah, he's like Tom Cruise is where I got that like that vibe, which I'm like, it makes sense because like Tom Cruise, he's like, silly, goofy, especially in like interviews. He like seems like he's a nice guy, but then he like stops talking and looks like he'd rather die than be there.
Yeah, I guess there are a lot of celebrities that you're able to really get to know nowadays because they go on podcasts, they're able to do way more than just your extreme short form late night talk show interviews that really can be devoid of as much substance, or they can be substantive to a point, but like if you're just going to be on a brief 10-minute segment at most, there's a lot you can kind of skirt around. So with Tom Cruise, like I get the sense that he really doesn't make himself available nearly as much as a lot of other actors of his ilk, his peers, who have gone on to do a lot of, I don't know, like I don't recall there ever being like a long form interview with Tom Cruise. I mean, he's probably done some magazine spreads over the years, but just as far
Yeah,
as,
like
yeah.
and well, I feel like the only interview that we've ever gotten like some real pizzazz on was the Oprah one where he jumps on the couch and people were like, "Oh, so he's crazy." They're like,
Mm,
"Oh, he's a quirky guy." But and I mean, I think that I do think with like the rise of social media and like influencing and all that and podcasts, it is a lot easier to feel more intimate with people because there are a lot of actors, like especially comedic actors like Steve Carell and like Will Ferrell, silly, goofy, they're funny in interviews, but like you hear behind the scenes that in actuality they're like kind of serious. They're not goofy. It's like when they're not doing their job, it's just like I'm chill. And so I'm like, I don't know. It's like one of those things that it's like, when is it a show and like, and do you have to like show your true self at all times? Are we just used to everyone being up in our business all the time, 24/7, having parasocial relationships that we're like, oh no, you need to be your 100% authentic self all the time or we hate you. But I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'd be so intrigued to see this movie done in like today's setting. I mean,
It's
he'd never get away with serial killing today, but there's too much surveillance.
yeah,
Those cell
that's
phones would be
true.
tracked
Well,
now.
yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, we all contain multitudes, and Bateman. We just are able to get such a intimate read on his psychology because he is narrating the film, and so you know we we uh, we have that more clear picture that just general people that we meet out in the real world, we can only assume sometimes, what the true, you know, machinations are underneath the surface. Um, yeah, and reminds me of you mentioned, yeah, getting away with stuff. I mean, there's literally that moment though after he, kills quote unquote Paul Allen and has that big bag, the body bag, that apparently is some kind of
It's like a
um,
fancy luggage bag. I
yeah,
wish I could remember the name of the brand.
yeah, it's a luxury brand, and
Hmm.
but it's trailing blood like through the lobby. So how is he just not immediately caught if that is something that really happened? And then you kind of do get a glimpse back through the entrance, and the trail of blood is gone. So maybe you think, I mean, he was able to wipe it up or something in just some in between scene that we just didn't it edited around it or something.
Well, and then in like hindsight, we know that Paul Allen's not dead. So it's like in actuality, what happened? And that was kind of the thing why
Yeah,
people were like, "Oh, is it a fantasy?" Because like even though he is the narrator of most of the movie, especially his inner thoughts, he's an unreliable narrator because he's not all there.
that's what
And
the
so he's
author,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like he's like, "Oh yeah, this happened. This is the way I saw it." And even when he's like, "Oh, I have no humanity. I only feel this and this." But then goes on to show that no, you clearly feel a lot more. I mean, they're still not great emotions, but like these
Yeah,
things obviously touch you a little more than you think they do.
yeah.
Um,
There are
and
clues sprinkled in throughout the
yeah.
film. Yeah.
Well, and that's another thing too that I when I saw that the director was like, no, he is a killer. He has killed people. Um, that it's like it's easier to get away with things when you have privilege and money and you know people, you have connections.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, some things can just be swept under the rug because like especially back then, like if especially set in the 80s, like I love true crime. I love the true crime podcast. I'm a big morbid listener.
Mhm.
And back then, 70s, 80s time period, when prostitutes were murdered, they didn't usually care. Like, and it's like so messed up, but like the police were like, well, that's the line of work. That's what happens when you do that line of work. And so it's like he might have murdered prostitutes or a homeless person, but because they're just seen as like ne'er-do-wells, unimportant people in society who have chosen these dangerous positions to be in, then it's just like, it happens. Like there's so many serial killers in the 70s who like exclusively went after sex workers.
Okay.
And so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, I could believe it. I could
I,
believe that he killed some of them.
yeah.
Maybe not the rich ones like Paul Allen. He wouldn't have gotten away with that.
No, I think I neglected to mention in my invoking the greater American Psycho universe that the sequel does directly state that he is a killer and
Mm,
depicts a murder in the opening scene. There's a moment where Patrick Bateman is in the same apartment as Mila Kunis's character as a young girl and her babysitter who had been seeing Patrick Bateman, and then he has them both like tied up, and she's able to escape, and there's a whole thing. Uh,
man, when you start including kids in this, dang. Um, and I,
Canonically, yeah, according to that.
yeah. Well, I mean, and I didn't even know that existed until today. So I'm like, but it was kind of funny when I was like looking at all that though, and it's like, obviously he has delusions of grandeur and like narcissism, but it was like really like because it does talk about capitalism, and you guys know how much I love capitalism, but it was like capitalism is basically a system that like harbors psychos,
Mm.
and which I thought was like pretty funny because it's like, you're kind of shedding all not all humanity, we're not everyone, but to become like the perfect predator that basically roams a system that feeds on the weak, feeds on people who don't have money, and can't afford the things that you do. And so I was like, that's really interesting, all the consumerism and capitalism like notes in there. Like,
Mhm.
because it's really like, oh, this is a serial killer thriller. The guy's killing people, and we don't know if that's true, but maybe it is.
Yeah,
But
you
all like
can
the undernotes, I'm like, these are so interesting and relevant now that I'm like,
devise a lot of creative structures within capitalism whereby ensure that you have an advantage over other
yeah.
people. I mean, you say the opposite in like communism, the advantageous structures that you develop are still there. They're just created. They're constructed through other means, like political power more so than
Hmm.
economic power. So there's always going to be the elite class, the ruling class or whatever. But within capitalism, it's I don't know, maybe a little bit more democratized, you might say,
Well,
because you
yeah.
just need a pile of money, and then you can build your own kind of little empire all on your own, by which you can victimize others if you so choose.
Well, yeah, and that's a lot of it too. Like, I mean, him and all of his peers, they're people who basically have generational wealth. And it's like they don't know any different, and that's why they're all so vapid and vacuous and boring. And I'm like, and maybe that's part of it too. It's like because everything is so the same, kind of monotonous almost, because they do the same stuff every day, same things. Like, I'm not surprised, especially someone who is clearly a narcissist, possibly has antisocial disorder. Like, I'm not surprised as someone like that. It's like, I need a thrill. I need something. I need something more. You know what I could get from that? I could kill somebody. Yeah, you know what? That's what I'll do. I could take up a hobby. I could play like pickleball. I know that didn't exist back then, but that'd be the equivalent now. It's tennis. Tennis.
That
Like, you could have
need
picked up a hobby that wasn't murdering people.
Interesting. Yeah, that need for input. I mean, I guess it kind of describes addiction, I guess. And
And he even said that. He was like, I can't stop.
I mean, one of the best descriptions of addiction within a film was the substance, which we talked about earlier this year. I had Laura on for that. I believe it was just Laura. You didn't have
Hmm.
you seen the substance?
I haven't seen it, but I know what it's about.
Yeah, very, very incisive. Just totally like you know and fanciful, I guess.
Yeah.
um Manifestation of a certain just very unique form of addiction that a person might have. But yeah, a lot of it relating to very real things like the need for attention or affirmation or fame, that sense of self-worth, I guess. And I guess perhaps all kind of like addiction stems from just that lack of of value, that intrinsic value that a person might feel, and so you try to fill it with external. And I guess capitalism and consumerism would obviously lend to that need to seek that fulfillment from external means.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a big like I mean I watch a lot of deep dives and stuff, and that's like a huge trend right now on social media. It's just like over consumerism. Like, oh hey, look at my haul. This is my haul. Oh, I have 15 different sets of decorations for my Christmas setup, and like all like buying new stuff all the time. And really it's just like eventually you have to keep buying more because you don't get the same hit anymore off of it.
Yeah,
You don't get
well,
that
yeah.
that buyer's high. And I mean, which honestly though, and he was already doing stuff like that. He drank a lot. He's like, doing it with a bunch of different people. He's doing drugs, and I'm like, So I'm like, I'm not surprised that eventually he was like, you know what, I need another source of stimulation.
Oh, it's especially pernicious if you occupy a system that repeatedly enables that kind of activity that just gives you that repeated illusion of fulfillment for extended periods of time to the point where you don't realize that is erroneous and illusory and ultimately will be unfulfilling in the end, despite how long it's been able to continue, just because your circumstances and wealth allow you to just keep kind of spinning the wheel, um, you know, and just kind of finding different things to kind of scratch that itch, even though it is just you know, it is just unhealthy. What do you call it? Just well,
Like an unhealthy coping mechanism.
oh, coping mechanism, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I do not recommend the killing coping mechanism, guys. If you guys are feeling bored, I don't know, get a hobby.
Yeah, yeah,
That's not.
something that does kind of contribute, to other people's well-being socially and not just a means of self gratification. Yeah, exactly. It ultimately has to do with our ability to truly connect with the world around us and other people, socially, intimately, just forming bonds that aren't material, you will. All right.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole movie. But yeah, it's like I feel bad for the limo driver and like the doorman at the place he lives. That's all I gotta say about that. I was just like, this limo driver is like, these girls come and they don't leave. Interesting. Or the doorman is like, oh, these women came with him, but now he's taking out big bags. Peculiar.
Interesting. I like the surreal moment at near or towards the end where he's on that spree out on the streets of New
Hmm.
York, and he goes into one office building, and shoots the security guard there, and then the janitor as well. Well, and then enters another one, and it looks almost identical. There's a slight difference in the security desk, but for a second I was like, wait, is this the same? Is this supposed to be? Because I knew the ending and the twist of like the
Hmm.
him, having these fantasies. So like, is this supposed to be a surreal kind of moment of he's entering the same building and now this guy is actually alive, or the security guard, he didn't shoot him, and then he makes the motion like he's
Yeah.
his gun, but it is actually his pen just to sign into the building. And like the bank of elevators is identical to the previous lobby he was in before. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
but it also just could be a different building but they're so similar because of the,
Yeah, they're all in the same area,
mhm.
probably owned by the same people who built them. Well, and that was something I also wondered because like especially with serial killers usually have an MO.
Mm,
And it's very rare for them to go off from that.
mm.
And so the fact that at the end, that's why I was like, I think at the end, when he's like shooting everybody, I think that is not real. Clearly, because obviously that would have been all over the news if a
Mm.
bunch of cops and people
Right,
got killed.
right.
But like he's just out of nowhere shooting all these people when his whole thing has been like,
Well,
brutally like face to face killing people this whole time. And so I was like, I definitely think the end is just him kind of spiraling
yeah.
into
Well,
like
he
mania
wants to get
and
caught.
like
Yeah.
insanity. And so I was like, I wonder if that's like the differ, like where it differs is like, oh, when he's kind of losing it, it's all in his head. He has a gun, which you never see him with. Never see him with a gun until then. Like, why is he just shooting old ladies at the ATM? He's just getting money.
Yeah.
Why do you have a gun cocked and loaded all of a sudden?
I think there's a contradiction living in his head where he wants to get caught and like recognized, and he confesses to his lawyer and all that. So he wants the notoriety, just to
Yeah,
further his own ego, but
which makes sense
also
because he's a nobody. He's a nothing
yeah,
person who's just like everyone else.
but the fact that he is just such a blowhard, and a tryhard, like means that he just never was able to actually
Pull the
follow
trigger.
through. Yeah, yeah,
Per se.
pull the trigger. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
Oh yeah.
I was like, this says like if he, based on what they said, I'm like, if he actually did kill somebody, I believe that obviously not Paul Allen, but if he did it to other people, knives or whatever, a nail gun possibly, the chainsaw is a stretch. But I'm like, maybe that MO would make sense.
Yeah.
But to like just completely go 180 and start shooting people, I was like, no, that doesn't match. That pathology doesn't make sense. I like put on my detective hat. I was like, that doesn't make sense at all.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up. There was like one other thing I posted to the chat, the um kind of famous trivia about
Oh, I
Willem
didn't get to
Dafoe.
watch it. I meant to watch it and I didn't get to.
His character, the investigator, having the direction of to read his lines in three different mannerisms, where he's oblivious to Bateman's involvement in Paul Allen's murder, one where he's suspicious, like he thinks there's a chance Bateman might be involved, and the third is he's aware, like he's totally got,
Onto
uh,
him.
yeah, Bateman nailed. And then the director, Mary Herron, just swaps among the three, just to create tension within the scene. And does that in the editing process. And there are like videos online. There's one particular one that I shared to the chat where they were identifying which mode William Dafoe was uh, in each shot, basically. Whether he's
Yeah, and that, I think it's like that's a cool way to do it because it definitely keeps you like guessing as the person watching. I mean, obviously that also serves to make Patrick Bateman also kind of crazy. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, there's like
yeah.
times that I'm like, oh, he's definitely on to him. But then like, he like pulls out the CD and he's like, oh, haha, I like this CD. They're so cool. And it's like, so does he suspect him or not? Like, why does he keep coming back if he doesn't suspect him? But
Mhm.
then it like at the end, it's just like, okay,
And as
we
much as
don't need to talk to you anymore.
I love Willem Dafoe, and he is such a goated actor. He
Hmm.
does just have that naturally unnerving
He's
uh
good at that.
composure. Yeah, that grin, that face. I mean, he looks like the Green Goblin. It's just.
Oh yeah, he very much like yeah, it goes from like he can go from smiling to looking like kind of deranged and angry really quickly. He can like shift his face really quick. It's kind of honestly, it's like it's when Patrick Bateman, he's like talking and he's like smiling and then immediately like drops it the second he looks away. And it's like they do that so well.
Yeah, you feel like this detective could just really go off on
At any moment.
yeah, yeah. But no, he's generally cordial throughout the interactions. So I think they use a lot of the kind of more um
Oblivious.
yeah, yeah, more of those takes. And only kind of sprinkle in a few of those I got you nailed and kind of
Well,
takes.
that's like the thing I always find funny about like these shows and just things in general. He when they're like, "Oh yeah, where were you December 20th?" And it's like, if someone asked me where I was last week, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't understand how people aren't like getting put into jail all the time for things they didn't do because I'd be like, what was I doing 5 months ago
Mm.
on a Thursday? I don't know. I don't
No,
know.
no, and yeah, even his alibi is vindicated because Bateman, has one of his colleagues kind of claim that
He was
Bateman
there.
was along with a certain cadre of his colleagues on one night where they were out, having drinks or whatever.
Well, and
So
the funny thing too is like when he asked him about it the first time, he was like, "Oh, I was getting dinner with Veronica." But then when he says it, and the next time when they're at lunch, he says Victoria. He says a different name. And I was like, dang, he didn't pick up on that because I'd be like, wait, I thought it was Veronica. What do you mean? Like,
yeah,
what's he gonna be like? Oh no, I have multiple girlfriends and they all have V names, so I don't have to remember their name. Like, This was like he didn't pick up on that, and he was just like, "Oh no, you were with these guys," which makes it even funnier because it's like, so that means Paul Allen thought that he was the Marcus guy, but the Marcus guy was
Oh,
actually at the with the drinks, and they thought that he was Patrick Bateman.
right.
And it's like, so no one actually knows anything or anybody because they're
Sorry.
all just, interchangeable,
Yeah.
all the same nondescript white rich dude.
Yeah, he could have said Evelyn or Courtney, his actual, you know, squeeze. And
Like
then,
someone who could have given him an alibi, but that's probably why he didn't.
yeah, yeah, for
Because he's like,
sure.
I'm not going to actually have one.
No, exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't want to name them because then he questioned them and yeah,
Although
people.
you could say Courtney. Courtney's high as a kite. So
Right,
she'd be
right.
like, maybe, sure. Yeah, I was there. He was there. Although I do wonder, like, what was she going to say to him?
Hmm.
I was like, what was she going to say? Because she was just like, oh, if I don't see you, because she kept going back and forth, and then she was like, oh, if I don't see you before Easter, have a good Easter. But I was like, what was she gonna say? What was she really gonna say? I'm so intrigued. It's probably nothing, but I was intrigued. I was intrigued by that.
Oh, she's just, very conflicted about her engagement, I'm sure, to Lewis. Considering their
Well,
situation.
especially if she knew like
Yeah.
what was really going on. What do they call it? A lavender marriage?
Oh, sure.
Is where one person is gay and the other is not, and they're just together. She's a beard, as they say. Um,
All
um,
right. Well, we'll probably wrap it up. I don't know. Any further things to note? I feel like it was,
no, I mean, other than Christian Bale
yeah.
is a good serial killer and also very hot, and I would have died in the 80s if that was what was happening. Although
Oh,
I'm not rich, so I would have probably been safe. Actually, I might have been in trouble because I'm not rich. I don't
it was kind of
know.
yeah, convenient and clumsy on the Donald Kimball, Willem Dafoe's character's part to, reveal that what Marcus had said earlier about the alibi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's like, why would I tell you what that alibi is to give you one? Which, and I'm like, it could be because, they just kind of seem like buddy buddy. It's not like he doesn't seem like he's actually investigating him quite thoroughly. It's just kind of like, oh, I'm going through the motions because this guy's missing.
hmm
And so I'm like, I wonder if it's just like he's like doesn't take it seriously because he's just like this rich kind of bumbling white dude. Um, because it's like when he goes and talks to him in his office, it's like you kind of get that vibe because he's just like, oh yeah, no, we're just, talking about work stuff when he's just having a whole conversation about clothes. He's just like, oh yeah, he's probably just this dumb rich guy. He probably didn't actually do it. That other dumb rich guy is probably just in London, like they said.
hmm hmm Well, I guess give this film yeah, five empty luxury body bags out of five. No, let's see. I Yeah, it's a fun time just to really dive into this, very, I don't know, rich thematically, subject, which I mean has just so many avenues of exploration, lending to why it did just form such an incredible cult status, and I think perhaps some of the success of the actors who are featured in this film can maybe be attributed to having worked in such a well-known something that would go on to have just such a lasting legacy. I mean, this movie only cost like $7 million to make. It only grossed like 14 million at the box office. It was pretty small scale, but just
Yeah.
kind of found a groundswell, word of mouth, and yeah, just it was just one of those things. It was so quirky, I think, in a lot of ways, and it has so much rich thematic text to it that, and I think the book itself was kind of famous as well. That is just, yeah, over the years has only grown and grown in popularity and in notoriety.
Yeah. Well, and I looked it up to see if there was like any kind of, stuff from the book or whatever. the general consensus is that Courtney was going to tell him she was pregnant. But because he's like doesn't care really, he's just like, I gotta go, I don't want to hear it, bye. And she's just like, okay, I'm not going to tell you. Which, I mean, if she's getting married, it's probably just best to be like, all right, I'm just going to pass this off as my husband's. Versus, chasing after someone who clearly doesn't actually want her.
Yeah, that tends to happen, unfortunately.
It's very like Great Gatsby. She's like, she's just staying with what's his face because it's convenient and they have a kid together. Versus going after Gatsby, who is a bit of a mess. It's like a weird correlation, but that's what I assume. It's like, the guy that she's with, safe bet, will take care of her because he has to hide he's gay. So, because I'm like, he has to know, right? He has to know. He's like, oh yeah, thanks for taking care of her and taking her out to eat. And I'm like, you're not weirded out by that?
Yeah.
You guys are just that good of friends?
It's such an odd world. I mean, yeah, I think in that fast-paced, go Wolf of Wall Street kind of environment, it's just you don't really have time to consider, all the relational dynamics. And
I guess, yeah, because he also thinks that Reese Witherspoon's character is cheating on him with Justin Theroux's character, I think. And it's like they're just all being a hot mess together.
The superficiality, but also like, I mean, there's only so much time in the day too. So if you're just being consumed by all this, the capitalism.
Hey, work. I love talking about capitalism. Okay. I was like, yes, I didn't expect this to be so relevant.
But so. Yeah, best to prioritize relationships over the all the frills. But anything else, Bridget, before we sign off?
No, I think that's it. Everyone watch it. If you haven't watched it yet, then I don't know what you're doing.
Share social media at all?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at Bridget5246. That's Bridge with a T, 5246.
Awesome. Yeah, Thoughtcast.com. Find me at Philip Elke on some socials. So yeah, Philip Elke here on the Thoughtcast, conversations about animation. And thanks so much for listening. And yeah, it's just kind of a fun subject to explore. This film, it is very kind of mature themes and definitely content that not appropriate for certain audiences, but
yes, do not watch around your children. That is a fact.
Yeah, so an intense watch, but I enjoy stuff that is able to kind of go hard in certain thematic areas. Particularly, I mean, I'm not the certain like pornographic quote unquote elements. I mean, very much toned down for the film compared to apparently what's in the book. It would have been kind of nice to have Jodie on because I believe she did read the book. So maybe I'll hear more about. We'll maybe hear something or other about her experience with American Psycho, the novel.
I'm really intrigued. I'm like, I wonder if it's on Kindle. It's an old book. Yeah. But I'm intrigued to read it.
For sure. All right. Well, cool. Fun little meandering episode here, and we got a lot covered. So thanks for sticking with us throughout all of this. And this is for Bridget. This is Philip. Wishing everyone a magical day, a wonderful week. Warm hugs.